Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today's video we're going to be talking about the Bitcoin myth, the myth that Bitcoin is bad for the environment, and how certain types of people, certain type of ideology support the banning of Bitcoin, and then they blame it on the environment. We're going to talk about how hypocritical that is, how funny that is, and how pathetic that is that they are attacking Bitcoin in such a way when they should look in the mirror when it comes to the environment. And before we get started, you know what to do. Like on the video, subscribe to the channel, go to cryptollc.org if you're looking to buy miners, sell miners, all that good stuff. Back to the video. So today, talking about that whole entire scam, the scam of blaming Bitcoin, that it is causing environmental damage. So first of all, if your Bitcoin mining farm is on the grid, you're causing zero environmental damage. First of all, I would even argue that the whole entire CO2 is a joke and a scam all in itself to promote certain industries and to destroy smaller economies, because smaller economies cannot go out there and purchase solar panels or to go in a cleaner way, and so the United States and bigger economies can. So we think that one of the reasons they're pushing this is that they're trying to destroy smaller economies out there that cannot transition, but United States can. And this way they can push down those economies, not allow them to proceed forward. So this is like more of a scheme, I would say, to keep smaller economies from being competitive. Because you can tell like African countries out there that, hey, you know what, don't build these coal plants because they're bad for the environment. Even though we built those coal plants, but you can't build them because then you would be competitive and you'd be able to produce products that we can't produce at that rate. So we need to tell you to stop building those coal plants, even though 50 years ago we built them all, and actually there are still some coal plants running in a lot of European countries and in the United States. So as you can see, it's basically a joke there. Now again, back to the grid. So the grid, if you have power that's already available, like hydropower, and that's being loaded onto the grid, or a generation station, or whatever it is, if you have capacity there, that capacity is already there. So if you take, let's say, 100 megawatts, there was nothing that was created for that 100. There was no like additional infrastructure you had to build out and all that. It's already there. So when you come with your Bitcoin farm and you set it up, you're not adding the production for electricity at that generation station or that hydro station, that it's already created. So basically, if you're not using it, it's just sitting there, right? That dam that's producing that power, that dam is already built. It's already there. So again, if you come in and you put your Bitcoin data center there, you are not adding anything. So that's a joke. Then if you move on to other forms of energy, such as you go to like gas powered generation stations, you go to coal powered generation stations and all that stuff. Again, these same people that make the argument that this is bad for the environment, these are the same people that told us that plastic bags are bad, but they're the same ones that said paper bags are bad like 50 years ago. So they just flip-flop whenever they feel like it. So paper bags are bad, let's use plastic because you're cutting down trees. And now plastic bags are bad because they're bad for the environment, so let's use paper. Wait, I thought we were trying to save trees. I guess not. So this is the joke we live in. And a lot of politicians, they come out there and they pull on the strings of emotions, and they pull on the strings of low IQ people and maybe some citizens that have an average IQ, but they don't have the time to invest and to look at this. And plus you have the ideological aspect. Like if you're in a certain group of people, right? If you're in a certain voter base, you're basically obligated to think a certain way. Otherwise you're ostracized, right? Otherwise you're thrown out of that voter group. You're not part of the club if you don't agree with them about climate change or whatever else they're going to be pushing. So those are the things you have to keep in mind. When you come out there and you build your data center, you have to know and keep in mind that not everyone is going to be educated. Not everyone can filter out the lies that the government tells them. And some people love to believe lies because it makes them feel good about their situation, right? If you're going to just believe what the government says, or what someone says without doing any research. That way, if you fail or you make a mistake in your thought process, you can blame them. You can say, you know what, it's not my fault that I believed, this lie about, ecology or whatever else, whatever topic, let's say even history. It's not my fault I believe this lie because they told me that, right? This organization told me that. So you can blame it on them. And I think the same thing happens with the environment, where people just say, you know what, the government told me so. So you can't blame me for making the wrong decision or thinking something that's completely unscientific, because you just blame it on them and say it's their fault. So I think there's a lot of responsibility shifting going on here. And same thing with these politicians, they go out there and they say Bitcoin's bad for the environment. And then even in the future, if someone proves that it's not bad for the environment, then the politicians will say, well, I was just going off of these articles. I was just going off of what these scientists told me, and then they just shift the blame to them and say, how did I know? How did I know? And I think this is a very cheap tactic, but this is how they throw it on them. Rather than saying, you know what, aren't you supposed to be an intelligent person? Aren't you supposed to do your own research? Aren't you supposed to look into these things? Aren't you supposed to make the best decision for the community, for the people you represent? Let's say if you're a governor or a senator or a congressman, aren't you supposed to make the best decision? But you're going to base your policy on what? On some article out there by MSNBC or CBS or something like that, or NBC? Is that how you are going to do your politics there? So yeah, you guys got to keep that in mind. And whenever you're out there, and there's a lot of that pushing. Also, there's a virtue signaling going on with it as well. Even at Bitcoin conferences, there are still a lot of people out there that talk about, yeah, we mine Bitcoin, yeah, we love Bitcoin, and we're trying to make it green. It's a joke. It's like, what do you mean trying to make it green? It's like, it's already green. How is it not green? How is it not? Is it because of this and that? It's like, well, let me go back to how the government is hypocritical about it. So the government says we need to lower our CO2 emissions and all that to make the environment better off, right? Have a greener environment, less pollution, all that stuff. Okay, good. So why are you starting so many wars? Because you know how much CO2 is being produced by all those wars? You know how much uranium shells America dropped in Iraq? Right? All those poor people dying from cancer. You know how many billions or millions and billions of gallons of gasoline is being wasted or was wasted in Afghanistan and Iraq and Libya and Ukraine and Panama and Bolivia and Syria and Pakistan and basically like half the planet. So if they actually cared about the environment, they'd be like, you know what, we can't start wars. We need to keep the level of wars to a minimum, because there's so much CO2 that's being created by these wars. But obviously you don't hear them say that, because it's a joke, right? It's a joke. It's basically, no, you use less CO2. We will keep pumping that out. And that's the joke we all live in. So yeah, so whenever someone tells you Bitcoin is bad for the environment, you got to tell them, do some research. Because obviously, if you did your research, you wouldn't say something so very profoundly unintelligent. Well, that's going to be it for this video. Hope you guys like it. Like, subscribe. I see a lot of you guys are not subscribed. You guys are just watching these videos through. You're not subscribed. We need you guys to subscribe. Subscribe to the channel. Hit a like on it. Share it with grandma. Grandma's knitting away. She's better off watching YouTube videos. Well, at least the crypto ones. Than just knitting away. Fixing your old underwear you sent to grandma because it's got a rip hole in it or whatever, and grandma's gonna fix it for you. No, you gotta be like, no, grandma, stop doing that. Let's watch some YouTube videos. Let's watch some crypto videos. Let's start a Bitcoin farm. Let's save up some money for ourselves or for our kids or whatever, grandkids for grandma. Well, that's gonna be it for this one. Hope you guys like it. Bye bye.